Diddy's trying to kill me. You know, Diddy and Jay-Z, Auntie Sean and Auntie Yolanda. No matter how many contracts you try to take out on my life, no matter how many times you try to threaten my family or threaten people to stay away from me, no matter how many things you try to do to me and how many things you've tried to do to me, it ain't working. Don't play with somebody that you know got the drop on you.
An example of one such individual who went through those sorts of attacks is the actor Orlando Brown. He was on Disney, and I remember everyone telling us that he was totally insane and deranged when he was saying a lot of things that at the time sounded crazy, particularly about Diddy. Take a listen.
The requirement is you gotta say no to Diddy. If it's new booty in the building, you know he gonna get it.
Don't take your girlfriend to a Diddy party.
You can take the but he won't you.
Diddy, to me, is the fall guy. You're still seeing a major effort to protect the big names, just like with Jeffrey Epstein.
Diddy, you know Diddy?
Diddy,
one of my best friends,
okay.
Right? Okay. When you wanna be a Kappa, you wanna be Kappa, you wanna be Alpha, whatever the it is, okay? We're gonna haze you, and haze you, and haze you, until you are a Kappa. That's what happened. People sold their souls to Diddy. And then they're mad now because the hazing process was a little bit rougher than they thought. Nigga, you can't de-king a king. Why do you think I love Diddy so much? You're not gonna dethrone this man because he know how to get you there. By way of hazing you, I call it haze. And we're gonna still do this. We're gonna still do this. It's not gonna stop. Take that. It's still gonna happen. The bitch got 3 million and we're still waking up in the morning, drinking cognac, screaming, bad boy, bad boy.
Diddy's lawyers had argued that he had made good faith efforts by showing up in New York, ready to surrender to face these charges, but prosecutors said that he could not be trusted, that he has a history of trying to intimidate witnesses, including some who are going to be witnesses in this case. They urged the judge to remand him.
At trial, Combs will ditch the jail garb and wear ordinary clothes, as his lawyers argue the evidence shows consenting adults being intimate in their own way.
Now, as far as jury selection goes, I think the biggest takeaway for me is that both sides expect to have all of this done in the matter of 3 days. Now, given just how high profile this trial is, I was kind of stunned that they seem very confident that they will be able to seat a jury in that amount of time.
What made you come here to support Puff?
I'm supporting Puff because he's innocent, and I'm wholeheartedly believing his innocence, and I know he's innocent. So
you think you know he's innocent?
1,000%.
Would you be open to a plea bargain?
Well, it's not up to me. It's up to Mr. Combs, and I don't see it happening.
Why?
Because he believes he's innocent. He believes he's innocent, and what's more, he believes that he needs to stand up, not just for himself, for his family, and for everybody who's been targeted by the federal government.
He knows the deck is stacked against him. They've got a ton of evidence. Take the plea deal, dude. Just take it.
Well, my guess is that, because we don't know the deal of the plea deal. At least I don't think we do.
True.
Okay.
She did, and when the judge did, Diddy, who was sitting at the defense table with his attorneys, did not show any signs of emotion. He took a sip of water before he was led out of the courtroom by the U.S. Marshals. Now, his lawyers have vowed to fight this. They are going to be back in court on Wednesday before the judge who will oversee this trial and try to get Diddy to be released.
Do you still think that, because there is this public perception, that there are celebrity tapes involved in this case?
No.
Do you still think that there are minors involved in this case?
I'm certain no.
Okay.
And again, when you say this case, we're talking the criminal case.
The criminal case.
In the
correct.
criminal,
I know that.
In the criminal case,
in
the criminal case, no.
Back up a little bit, please.
How can you support your father? How do you support him moving forward?
This is going to be such a massive trial, like maybe the biggest Hollywood trial. God knows which way it's going to go. Are they going to, is it going to go on for weeks? And
for sure, weeks.
What happens is if people go into a trial believing the firepower on the prosecution is so strong. I mean, let's say on a scale of 1 to 100, it's a 95, and it's so strong. But it goes down to an 88. That helps the defense because everybody goes in thinking, wow, they're going to prove this, and they're going to prove this, and they're going to prove this, and all of a sudden, none of it's there. I think that actually helps the defense.
The last hearing before Sean Combs' trial starts, when he walked into federal court today, he appeared to be looking for his family. They've pretty much been at all of the hearings that I've been to, but there was no presence of his sons or his mother or his sister who had previously been at those hearings.
Well, Bill and Sade, accepting a plea agreement would mean that Sean Combs would have to admit to trafficking and force. And today he made it very clear that was not going to happen. Diddy maintained all along these encounters involved consenting adults and plans to take his chances that a jury agrees.
Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs back behind bars, a magistrate judge denying him bail, saying that there were no conditions that she could conceive of that would make her confident that he would appear again for other court appearances. The judge saying, my concern is this is a crime that happens behind closed doors.
The decision guarantees Combs will face trial beginning just 4 days from now that will test whether one of music's most prolific figures used his power, wealth, and fame to exploit both women and men for decades.
Major developments tonight involving the case against Sean Diddy Combs, what he decided in court today, and what this now means, the move coming just 4 days before his trial is set to begin. Here's Aaron Katursky.
Tonight, Sean Combs makes it official. He's rejecting the government's offer to plead guilty and spare himself the possibility of a prolonged term in prison. When asked if he turned down the offer, Combs answered, "Yes, I do, Your Honor," as he stood in a baggy beige jail uniform. Terms were not disclosed, but prosecutors did say a plea could result in a shorter sentence for Combs than if he's convicted.
We have the latest from federal court in the Sean Combs criminal case. Status of jury selection, what Diddy's going to be wearing, violation of a gag order, rejecting a plea offer.
Elaborate, sometimes days-long parties by coercing victims through drugs, threats, and manipulation. They claim to have video evidence, and some of the accusations echo details from over 70 civil lawsuits filed against Combs over the last 30 years.
Isn't that, to my mind, that's one of the bigger hurdles in selecting a jury this coming week, is that there is, at least anecdotally, when I talk to people, they have that opinion, strongly held opinion, that there's celebrity tapes, that they've kind of conflated Epstein, and you mentioned Ghislaine Maxwell and all of these things into Diddy. There's this idea that somehow this is an Epstein redux or something.
Federal trafficking, racketeering, and charges beginning Monday morning.
Mr. Combs feels A, he's innocent, which is why he's not going to plead guilty. B, he's going to be truthful about this case because he wants to portray that to the people who have loved him his whole life. And I think he also feels an obligation to people in general. Maybe it's black people, maybe it's white people, maybe it's anybody who's ever felt aggrieved and targeted by the government. He feels an obligation to those people to say, you know what, maybe I can break the model. Maybe I can show the world that a black man can win, in federal court. And I think he probably is the only person I know of who might be able to actually accomplish that.
Imagine being one of the most powerful men in music, wealth beyond measure, global fame, influence that touches entire generations. You've built an empire from the ground up, ruled the charts, shaped culture, and stood at the top for decades. And then, almost overnight, it all starts to come crashing down. That's exactly what's happening to Sean Diddy Combs right now. This isn't just another scandal or a wave of old rumors resurfacing in the tabloids. This is serious. We're talking full-on federal charges, including racketeering and sex trafficking. A trial is already underway, and if convicted, he could be looking at decades behind bars. The stakes have never been higher. The pressure has never been tighter. And the world is watching every move. At the center of this legal storm, a name you might not expect. Orlando Brown, the former Disney star who, for years, was known more for his wild interviews and erratic behavior than anything else. People used to laugh off his claims, calling him unhinged, unpredictable, even unstable. But now, everything he once said about Diddy is lining up with real evidence, voice memos, digital logs, and synchronized data that place him inside some of Diddy's most private spaces during critical moments. Suddenly, Orlando Brown isn't the joke anymore. He might be the one holding the smoking gun. So let's break it all down piece by piece, moment by moment, and find out how we got here, what really happened behind closed doors, and why this case is shaking Hollywood to its core. Sean Diddy Combs didn't just build a music empire. He built a lifestyle brand that defined an era. From bad boy records to his high-fashion ventures like Sean John, and from star-studded parties to a larger-than-life persona, Diddy crafted an image of success, influence, and exclusivity. His legendary parties weren't just events. They were experiences that blurred the line between fantasy and reality, where celebrities, athletes, and rising stars mingled under one roof. For decades, he's been untouchable, flanked by lawyers, connections, and a public image carefully curated to weather any storm. But now, the federal government is coming after him with everything they've got. This isn't just about old rumors or past allegations resurfacing. It's about a full-scale federal indictment that accuses him of running an organized operation involving coercion, manipulation, and control. The charges are serious: racketeering, sex trafficking, and conspiracy. Allegations that, if proven true, could put him behind bars for life. The government claims Diddy didn't just throw wild, over-the-top parties. He allegedly used his power, wealth, and influence to exploit individuals under the guise of VIP access. They're painting a picture of a system designed to lure people in, keep them silent, and protect those at the top. And unlike so many celebrity scandals that fade into tabloid oblivion, this one is heading straight to court, where the evidence will be tested, witnesses will testify, and the truth, or at least the version that holds up in a courtroom, will finally come to light. Here's where it gets even more intense, and a lot more personal. Diddy had the chance to take a plea deal. Prosecutors reportedly offered him a way out, a significantly reduced sentence in exchange for admitting guilt and avoiding a long, messy trial. But he turned it down cold. Why? Because he says he's innocent. Not just legally innocent, but morally. And he's not backing down. He wants his day in court, in front of a jury, to clear his name once and for all. His legal team has been clear from the start. They're pushing back hard against the idea that anything illegal or coercive happened behind closed doors. Their argument is straightforward. These were consenting adults engaging in private behavior, and no crime was committed. They've described Diddy's actions as part of a VIP lifestyle that may raise eyebrows, but doesn't break laws. Prosecutors, on the other hand, see it differently. They say this isn't about privacy. It's about power, about control, about using wealth, fame, and influence to manipulate people into situations they couldn't easily walk away from. And they don't just think Diddy orchestrated this system. They believe he went out of his way to silence those who might speak out. They've already told the judge in no uncertain terms, Diddy has a documented history of trying to intimidate witnesses. That includes people who are now set to testify against him. The prosecution says they don't trust him to show up for future court dates if released, and they made sure he stayed behind bars while the trial approaches. So now, instead of preparing for another high-profile party or luxury event, Diddy is sitting in a jail cell, waiting for his fate to be decided by 12 jurors. He's making a bold gamble that a jury will look past the headlines, the rumors, and the comparisons to Epstein and actually believe his side of the story. It's a risky move, but Diddy seems ready to bet everything on it. Now, let's talk about Orlando Brown. You remember him. He was on That So Raven, Malcolm, and Eddie, and for years, he was known as the guy who always seemed to be popping off on social media with wild, unpredictable stories about celebrities. Some people thought he was exaggerating. Others weren't sure if he was just being dramatic, or maybe even unhinged. He became something of a meme in the public eye, the kind of guy you'd see trending for saying something outrageous one day and forgotten the next. But now, everything's changed. Orlando Brown isn't just another name floating around online. He's the star witness in a federal case against Diddy, one of the most powerful figures in music history. That's not just a plot twist. It's a full-on role reversal that nobody saw coming. He didn't just show up with allegations. He came prepared. Brown has handed over voice memos he recorded during multiple visits to Diddy's properties late at night, when major activity was reportedly happening in what insiders refer to as the guest wing. These weren't casual recordings. They were intentional, detailed, and most importantly, synchronized with real-time data. Here's where it gets even more intense. He recorded everything using a second phone, a device he kept off the grid. No SIM card, no automatic cloud sync, no Bluetooth connections. Just raw audio, timestamps, and metadata that matches perfectly with internal logs from Wi-Fi routers, door sensors, and even lighting systems inside Diddy's estates. We're talking about a level of documentation that goes way beyond someone just telling their side of the story. This is someone who walked into these situations knowing he needed proof and made sure he had it down to the second. His recordings have been matched to digital footprints that include precise Wi-Fi logins, door entry records, lighting override schedules, and even staff radio traffic. This isn't just someone talking. This is someone who documented everything as it happened, giving prosecutors a rare, time-stamped window into what was going on behind closed doors. And that makes him not just a witness, but a game changer in this case. This case isn't built on just words. It's built on data, cold, time-stamped, digital footprints that can't easily be faked or disputed. Prosecutors have gone beyond anecdotal accounts and emotional testimonies. They've taken Brown's voice memos and lined them up, second for second, with a mountain of technical logs. Wi-Fi connection records showing exactly when his phone connected to the network inside Diddy's properties. Door entry logs tracking who came and went from specific areas, especially the so-called guest wing. Lighting override schedules that reveal manual changes to lighting patterns late at night. Staff radio traffic caught in real time, including coded phrases that seem to sync up with what was happening in those moments. One phrase keeps appearing again and again across all these systems. Heartbeat reset. To the prosecution, this isn't just casual lingo. It's a signal, a trigger, possibly even an internal code used to coordinate activity in the guest wing. Was someone moving people through, dimming the lights to limit visibility, resetting security cameras, or disabling monitoring temporarily? The timing is too precise to ignore. The defense, however, has a different explanation. They argue that heartbeat reset is nothing more than standard industry jargon, terms used in luxury event management to describe routine maintenance or ambience adjustments. According to them, high-end parties often involve complex lighting cues, privacy protocols, and staff coordination that outsiders might misinterpret as something sinister. But here's the twist. When Brown's recordings line up perfectly with those digital timestamps, down to the exact second, it starts to look less like coincidence and more like a system operating with precision. A pattern emerges that suggests not just party logistics, but orchestrated movement. And if that's the case, it raises serious questions about how much control and how much planning was involved behind closed doors. It's not just about what happened. It's about how well it was covered up. This isn't just another courtroom drama. It's shaping up to be one of the biggest Hollywood trials in decades, maybe even a defining legal moment for the entertainment industry. The kind of case that doesn't just make headlines, but shifts cultural conversations. Already, people are drawing comparisons to Jeffrey Epstein, not because the details are identical, but because of the scale, the secrecy, and the unsettling pattern of influence and access. The same questions are surfacing. Who else is involved? How deep does this go? And most importantly, who had knowledge and stayed silent? But there's one major difference here. Diddy isn't dead. He's alive, he's aware, and he's fighting back, not just in court, but in the court of public opinion. He's making a very public statement about what this trial represents beyond himself. His team has made it clear, this is about more than just Sean Diddy Combs. He wants to prove that a black man with power, wealth, and a controversial legacy can still walk free in a federal courtroom. His legal team is pushing back hard, calling the entire case a witch hunt fueled by media frenzy and biased witness testimony. They argue that what prosecutors are presenting as a coordinated criminal operation is, in reality, standard estate logistics, the behind-the-scenes coordination required to run high-end events with VIP guests, private security, and luxury hospitality staff. They claim terms like heartbeat reset, which the prosecution says is code for illicit activity, are actually internal jargon used to manage lighting cues, camera angles, and guest wing access during late-night gatherings. In other words, they're saying, "You're seeing crime where we see production design." But the prosecution isn't backing down. They've come prepared with more than just testimonies and documents. They've brought in digital forensics experts, network logs, and synchronized timelines that piece together a picture of controlled, calculated behavior. Not random party culture. Not isolated incidents. But an ongoing system of influence, access, and control. What makes this so compelling and so dangerous for Diddy is that the evidence isn't just based on memory or accusation. It's backed by data. Timestamps, Wi-Fi logs, voice memos, and override records that align almost perfectly with witness accounts. That's what makes this different from past celebrity scandals. This time, there's a paper trail, and it's digital. Even before the verdict is delivered, the entertainment world is already reacting, fast and hard. What started as a shocking legal case against one of music's most powerful figures is now sparking real change across the industry. Talent agencies are updating their safety riders and contracts, making sure performers have more control and protection when attending private events or working closely with high-profile clients. These new clauses include things like clear exit protocols, device transparency policies, and even a right to document key interactions if needed. It's no longer just about money, it's about accountability. Event insurers aren't sitting on the sidelines either. They're starting to ask new, detailed questions about security setups, including door access logs, lighting controls, and staff communication systems. Some companies are even drafting entirely new insurance packages tailored for luxury events that involve VIP guests and celebrity hosts, packages that require strict documentation to qualify. But the biggest ripple might be in politics. There's serious talk of new legislation, the Creative Industry Guest Safety Act, a proposed bill aimed at creating better protections for people who attend private events tied to the entertainment world. If passed, it would establish minimum safety standards, fund confidential reporting lines, and set training requirements for event security personnel. Advocates argue it could prevent future exploitation by giving attendees legal recourse and real-time oversight tools. And then there are the performers. Many are speaking out, some in support of Orlando Brown, calling his actions brave and necessary. They say his personal recordings may have exposed a hidden system that left young artists, models, and influencers vulnerable under the guise of networking, mentorship, or fame. This case isn't just about Diddy anymore. It's become something much bigger. A cultural moment. A turning point in how power, privacy, and protection are handled behind the velvet ropes of Hollywood and beyond. Whether he's found guilty or not, the conversation has already shifted, and it doesn't look like it's going back. Jury selection wrapped up faster than many expected. Both sides appear confident, unusually so, given the high stakes and intense media scrutiny surrounding this case. It's rare for a trial of this magnitude to move so quickly through even the earliest phases, but here we are, just days away from opening statements, and both prosecution and defense seem ready to go all in. Prosecutors have already signaled their strategy. They plan to rest their case shortly after Orlando Brown finishes testifying. That tells us just how crucial his role is going to be. If they're building much of their timeline around his voice memos, his credibility will be one of the biggest battlegrounds of the trial. But the defense hasn't tipped their hand yet. They haven't confirmed whether Diddy himself will take the stand, which leaves a lot of speculation on the table. If he does testify, it could be a defining moment, not just for the trial, but for his public image and legacy. Closing arguments are now expected sometime next month, assuming everything stays on schedule. But with a case this dense, packed with digital logs, forensic analysis, and testimonies from key insiders, it wouldn't be surprising if things ran a bit longer than planned. Still, one thing remains certain. Regardless of the verdict, this trial is going to leave a mark. Not just in legal circles, but across culture at large. The way people talk about power, celebrity, and accountability is already shifting because of this case. Will Diddy walk free? successfully defending himself against federal charges and proving that his lifestyle, no matter how extravagant or controversial, was never criminal? And if he does, what kind of message does that send to others in the spotlight who've faced similar allegations? Or will the evidence, those synchronized timestamps, the audio recordings, the security overrides, be enough to convince jurors that what happened behind closed doors wasn't just party culture, but something far more calculated? If that's the case, we may be witnessing the fall of one of music's most iconic, untouchable figures. Either way, the world is watching. This isn't just about Diddy anymore. It's about systems of influence, hidden patterns, and whether the powerful can truly be held accountable. So what's your take? Do you really believe that Diddy Sean Combs set up a calculated system of control and coercion behind closed doors? A setup so precise that it involved coded language like heartbeat reset, synchronized lighting overrides, and staff radio chatter that matched up second by second with secret voice memos? Or are we witnessing a case where luxury hospitality, high-end event logistics, and VIP access are being twisted into something sinister by prosecutors trying to make a bold statement? Think about it. This isn't just another celebrity scandal. This is a federal trial. One that could send one of the most powerful figures in music history away for life. And at the center of it all is Orlando Brown, a former Disney actor once dismissed as erratic and unreliable, who may now be the most important witness in a case that everyone is comparing to Epstein. His recordings, backed by digital logs, Wi-Fi timestamps, and internal security data, have painted a picture that's hard to ignore. But then again, Diddy's defense is pushing back hard, calling it all standard procedure for elite events where privacy and discretion are everything. This isn't just about one man anymore. It's about how power, fame, and influence operate behind the velvet ropes. It's about who gets protected and who gets targeted when the spotlight finally hits the darkest corners of Hollywood. So where do you stand? Are we watching justice unfold, or a cultural icon being taken down by a system that sees him as bigger than the law? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Was this an elaborate operation masked as VIP access, or just the price of fame colliding with legal overreach? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because trust me, this story is far from over. There's a lot more coming, and you won't want to miss it.